Next guest just returned from the Polish border, where she got a first-hand look at the humanitarian crisis on the ground.
West Virginia Senator Shelley Moore Capito joins us right now. Senator, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
You know, it's one thing to see it on television, but it's something else to see it in person. What was it like? I mean, 2 million people, close to 2 million people, have streamed over the border from Ukraine into Poland.
Well, it's powerful. It's heartbreaking. Many of the 1,500 refugees that were in the shelter that we saw were in the processing center were mothers and children, young children. We met a young Katerina from Ukraine. Her home is only 2 miles from the border. She talked about her 6- and 8-year-old and how the constant air raid sirens were just frightening them so much, and she left her husband and her home. It is very powerful to see 6,000 meals served just in that one facility. Wow. Every single day, and it's got to stop.
What about the children? Did you see any orphans? It just breaks our heart when we talk about that, because we've heard some stories about little girls or little boys losing both parents.
Well, sure. I'm sure that there were orphans in the building. There were a lot of children there. There were volunteers there in rooms letting the kids dress up and do make-believe like you would do in your own home. So that was very refreshing to see. But then you go to the next room and everybody's getting on a train or a bus to go somewhere else away from their loved ones. It's very impactful, very sad. But I tell you what, the Polish people have stepped up like nobody's business. They're coming to these processing centers and saying, I have an extra bedroom. I can take a family of 3 or 4. Please let us help.
Sweet.
Right. Senator, what about the fact that the president's going to be going there after Brussels and his decision not to go into Kyiv? Do you believe he should do that like those 3 prime ministers did from the Eastern European countries?
Well, I think obviously the president's safety is the utmost important for all of us and for the world. And so I think they have to make those security decisions. I can tell you that we met with some Ukrainians who were frustrated. We were meeting 2 miles inside the border in Poland. They're like, come to Ukraine, come to Kyiv, come to Lviv. And so, you know, I think probably, honestly, in this situation, it's probably the best for the president to remain in Poland. But I know that our NATO neighbors are very concerned about the safety along the border.
And of course, that will take up the balance of the week. In the meantime, about 6 minutes from right now, there on Capitol Hill, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson will face questions from senators. I know there have been as we look at the High Court right there across the street from where you are, I know there have been a number of Republican senators who have questions about her past. Watch this for just a minute, Senator.
I'm also interested, as others have mentioned, in your opinion, why pro-abortion, dark money groups like Demand Justice and anti-religious liberty groups are pouring millions of dollars into a public campaign in support of your nomination.
Your public comments about, and I'm going to quote you, the transformative power of progressive education, end quote. These are deeply concerning.
In every case, in each of these 7, Judge Jackson handed down a lenient sentence that was below what the federal guidelines recommended and below what prosecutors requested.
So Senator Capito, yesterday was a chance for the senators to make statements, to speechify. Today, she actually is in the chair and will be asked questions. What are your concerns about this nomination?
You know, I share the concerns of my colleagues. Certainly, I think, but my great concern is, where is she on overreach of the presidential powers? We see an administration that is reaching into every aspect, making laws all of the time, and it goes to the courts in many instances. And this is essentially very important in the environmental space and other spaces. So that's the big question to me. I think also her philosophy on education, her philosophy on packing the court. She didn't get specific with that when she was meeting with me. I think that's a legitimate question to be asking her. How did she base her sentencing decisions? We should be asking. So today and tomorrow, I think we will get a much fuller picture of her and her opinions, her past opinions, and hopefully what her opinions are in terms of the issues of the day.
Well, after meeting with her, do you think you'll vote yes for her confirmation?
Well, I've pledged to be open-minded. I want a respectful process after what we saw happen to Judge Kavanaugh and Judge Amy Coney Barrett. That, to me, was one of the lowest points in my service. So I'm going to remain open-minded, see what happens today and tomorrow, and then I'll be making that vote based on that.
Senator Capito, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
You too.